Yo, what's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for clicking on this video. The NFL draft just happened last week. Today, we're going to be going over the rookie winners from it. So what I mean by that is the actual rookies that were drafted, the people that rose their value given on their landing spot or their draft capital. I'm going to be doing the same thing in future videos for the losers and then the veteran winners and the veteran losers. So make sure you stick around for that. Subscribe to the channel. I'll have a bunch of content coming soon. And if you like this video, make sure you drop a like on it. It helps out a ton. Also, if there's anyone you think that I left off of this list, make sure you drop it down in the comments below. Or if there's just any other content that you guys want to see. Now, with that out of the way, let's actually get into these winners. Now, obviously, there's going to be a varying level of winners here, so I'll kind of explain that as we go. Some of them are a lot bigger than others. First guy who I think is an obvious winner is going to be Bijan Robinson. He was already the clear 101 in basically all rookie drafts, but getting top 10 draft capital just really puts him at another tier, and it really guarantees him massive workload this first year and for his entire rookie contract. Plus, the Falcons were an elite rushing offense last year, so he is coming into a really good situation where he's going to get as much work as he can handle. Last person to get this high of draft capital as a running back was Saquon Barkley, and if you remember his rookie year, he was an RB2 and one of the most electric rookies that we've ever seen. So I think that Bijan Robinson firmly becomes the dynasty running back 1 and probably a top 3 to at worst top 5 redraft running back. And the next winner that I got is going to be Jahmyr Gibbs, which I kind of thought that he might go in the first round. We started to hear those rumors leading up to the draft that he might go in the end of the first round, but he got drafted at the 12th pick by the Detroit Lions. Now, I don't actually think this is the best landing spot that he could have had, but the fact that he got top 12 draft capital just guarantees, again, like Bijan Robinson, that he's going to get a massive work. And then during day 2, they traded DeAndre Swift, who they kind of play a similar position. And when this draft pick happened, most people assumed that this would happen. Now that that is cleared up and we know that it's just going to be David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, I think that we can pretty much guarantee that he's a top 7 at worst dynasty running back. And I think that he should be pretty solid for this upcoming year. Nowhere near Bijan Robinson or anything, but with this high of draft capital and we know that he's going to be catching the ball a ton, it's really going to solidify his volume and make him a for sure winner in this draft. The next guy that I have is going to be Kendre Miller. He was drafted with the 8th pick in the 3rd round. He was actually the running back 4 off the board in the NFL draft, which was kind of surprising. He wasn't able to test at the combine because he was hurt, so none of us really knew his athletic profile, but I really liked him on tape. He was a pretty big back and kind of hard to take down, not going to be taken down by one person easily, along with having decent speed and decent elusiveness for his size. And getting day 2 draft capital and going into a situation where Alvin Kamara won't be there for the beginning of the year, we assume, and the other competition is Jamal Williams. I think this is actually a really good situation just given the draft capital that he does have. So I think that Kendre Miller is going to be a great running back going forward for Dynasty. Another big winner that I'm going to have is going to be Devon Achane, who got drafted with the 21st pick in the 3rd round, and he got drafted to probably the best landing spot for him, which is the Miami Dolphins. There was definitely a possibility that he got drafted a little bit higher, but he still has that day 2 draft capital, and there was definitely a worry with him. His main concern was the fact that he's 185 pounds, so he's really small for most running backs, but he's unbelievable at catching the ball, really fast, extremely quick and shifty, and I think that the Miami system is perfect for him. So the fact that he lands there where his only real competition is like Jeff Wilson and Raheem Mostert, who play very different roles than him, I think this landing spot allows him to be utilized probably in the best way that he could be. So I personally have him up in my running back 3 for this class right now, just given the Zach Charbonnet landing spot with Seattle, which we'll talk about in a later video. But overall, yeah, I think Devon Achane is a massive winner just given his landing spot and the day 2 draft capital. And the last small running back winner that I'm going to bring up is going to be Chase Brown. He only got 5th round draft capital, which is, not very good, but he got drafted to the Cincinnati Bengals. And I think he'll be able to win the backup spot pretty easily. And then if anything happens with Joe Mixon, he'll definitely have his opportunity. So in comparison to where some of the other people that were ranked ahead of him in the pre-draft process are, and then where he got drafted and is now going, I definitely think he's a winner. Not as big of a winner as some of these other guys, but I definitely think he's a small winner out of this draft. All right, let's move on to the wide receivers now. The first winner that I want to mention is going to be Quentin Johnston. He went as a 2nd wide receiver off the board with a 21st pick in the 1st round, and the reason he's such a big winner is going to be because of his landing spot with the Chargers. This instantly ties him to Justin Herbert for majority of his career, at least that we can assume so, and he has older wide receivers ahead of him like Keenan Allen and Mike Williams that are going to be phasing out pretty soon. And there's always worry with Mike Williams because he tends to get hurt and not be able to finish the season. And Quentin Johnston and Mike Williams play very similar roles, so it's going to allow them to make Mike Williams disposable, which is really good for Quentin Johnston. So given the fact that he was the 2nd wide receiver taken and he was the 1st pick for the Chargers, and the fact that he's going to be a part of elite offense and he seems to have a lot of elite traits, just really makes for him to be a huge winner. And personally, he's going to be my wide receiver 2 in this class. And the next main winner at wide receiver I'm going to have is going to be Jonathan Mingo. He was taken as a 5th wide receiver off the board and the first wide receiver in the 2nd round taken. He was drafted highly in the 2nd round, like I said, to the Carolina Panthers. So he's going to be tied right away to Bryce Young, and they'll be able to develop and kind of grow together. And we've seen that happen a lot with young quarterbacks and young receivers where they develop together, like T. Higgins and Joe Burrow. And at the same time, there's not a ton of competition on that team. You only have people like Adam Thielen, DJ Chark, and I think somebody like Jonathan Mingo, who has a really good athletic profile, will be able to beat out those guys most likely. And I think really will have an opportunity to turn into a good fantasy wide receiver. And in comparison to where he was projected to go and where he was ranked in the pre-draft process, I think he is definitely one of the biggest winners overall of the entire NFL draft for fantasy. The next wide receiver winner that I'm going to talk about is going to be Jaden Reed, who was drafted with the 19th pick in the 2nd round by the Green Bay Packers. Kind of a similar situation to Jonathan Mingo, where he's going to be attached right away to a young quarterback and they can develop together. There definitely is a lot more competition in Green Bay with Christian Watson, Romeo Dawes, even Aaron Jones a little bit. They also just drafted 2 tight ends and Luke Musgrave and Tucker Kraft. So there's definitely a lot of competition, but the fact that Green Bay spent a 2nd round pick on him definitely just shows their commitment to him, and he plays a very, very different role than Christian Watson does. So I think he'll be a really nice compliment to him, and I think that he's definitely a winner. Again, just in comparison to where he was projected to go and where he ended up going, I think he's a definite winner. And the last main wide receiver winner that I'm going to talk about is going to be Rashee Rice, who was also drafted in the 2nd round, but he was drafted by the Kansas City Chiefs. Obviously, the main reason he is such a big winner here is because he got drafted by the Kansas City Chiefs and will be tied to Patrick Mahomes, the best quarterback in the NFL. Another person who we weren't totally sure where he was going to go, and the fact that he got 2nd round draft capital just shows that they have a commitment to him. Now, Sky Moore was drafted in the 2nd round last year, so we can see how that can turn out, but I think you just got to take the shot on somebody like him when they're drafted to a team like this in the 2nd round or on day 2. All right, now I'm going to move on to the quarterbacks. It's kind of the same situation for both of them, so I'm going to talk about them at the same time. It's going to be CJ Stroud and Anthony Richardson. We weren't totally sure where either of these guys were going to go before the draft. We heard a lot of buzz about Will Levis going before both of them, or some of them falling out of the top 5. So the fact that they both got drafted in the top 5, CJ Stroud number 2 to Houston and Anthony Richardson number 4 to the Indianapolis Colts, it's just going to guarantee him the play time, the starting job, just the commitment from the team and the reps to do it. So the fact that they both got that is just going to make them winners overall, since there was some conversation about Will Levis going ahead of both of them. Not much to say there, so we're going to move on now to the tight ends, the last position. Obviously, probably the biggest winner of the draft maybe is going to be Dalton Kincaid. He was the only 1st round tight end drafted this year, and he was drafted by the Buffalo Bills, who traded up ahead of the Dallas Cowboys to get him, and the Dallas Cowboys did seem pretty pissed about that. So that draft capital and the commitment of trading up to get him just proves that he's going to be utilized a ton, and he was a great prospect who is in now one of the best offenses in the entire NFL. On top of that, we heard the GM talk about how Dalton Kincaid is basically a wide receiver, and he's going to be utilized as such, so we can kind of count on him being utilized a ton in the receiving game. Now, we know that Dawson Knox is still there, but he's much more of a blocking tight end than Dalton Kincaid is, and the commitment that they made to him in the draft and the fact that the way they've talked about him, I think that we can firmly say that Dalton Kincaid will be ahead of him in the receiving depth chart. Maybe not for this first year in like actual production, but for the dynasty value of him, for sure, Dalton Kincaid is way ahead of him. I think he should be a 1st round rookie pick, top 10 dynasty tight end overall. And the next 3 guys I'm going to talk about all kind of the same too, because they all got that high 2nd round draft capital, which makes them all winners. All pretty good landing spots. We got Sam Laporta going to Detroit. We got Luke Musgraves going to Green Bay. And we got Luke Shoemaker going to the Dallas Cowboys. Love all those Lukes getting drafted. That's my name if you guys didn't know that, but love that. These guys all fall in good situations where they have good offenses with, I mean, I guess Green Bay is not a very stable quarterback position, but somebody who they've really surrounded with all the opportunity, and taking somebody like Luke Musgraves with the 11th pick in the 2nd round just shows that commitment to him and to be able to get him as many weapons as possible. So I think everyone here is going to have really good opportunity. And obviously with Darnell Washington falling, they all went way ahead of him. So I think all 3 of these guys are big winners from the draft, given the tight end position and how it kind of fell and shaked out. Yeah, there are all my winners for the rookies that I got drafted. So let me know what you think about them. Do you think any of these guys aren't winners? Anyone else that I left off? Like, I know Marvin Mims was definitely kind of a winner since he was the 1st pick of the Denver Broncos, but I kind of still have him ranked where I had him beforehand. I think he had the possibility of falling a lot. So the fact that he stayed or even improved his value a little bit, I think was really good. Let me know if there's anyone else I missed out. I should be doing my losers coming up next for the rookies, so stay tuned for that, and I'll see y'all there. Later.